Well, hello everyone. This is Cheryl with Bluegrass Dreams to Seams, and I'm just jumping in here just to share something with you because today at church, a friend of mine walked up to me and she said, "Hey, would you be interested by any chance in doing some repair work on a family heirloom christening gown?" And I said, "Well, bring it on in, yeah." So, kind of found out the gown they're estimating was made somewhere around 1850. So, I am holding in my hands a gown that's 174 years old. Am I right? Yes? 100? Really? Let me show it to you. So, first, we'll talk about the slip. The slip I had only read about, never seen one. I had only read about in Martha Pullen's books. I have a few of her books where she did historical research on christening gowns in certain museums. And so this one actually has this wrap that goes around under the arms and fastens in the back, usually with some safety pins or something. They use something to fasten it in the back, and so it's adjustable by several inches, okay? And then you've got your long slit, of course, to make it easier to change the baby if they should be changing. So the slip, come to find out, has one panel for the front and another panel for the back that has this slit cut down and the edges finished. So the slit is pretty long. I mean, it's going from here to here. And then it's finished at the bottom with this lace. So I'm going to get really close and only do a single layer, hopefully, where you can see this lace. See that kind of flower worked in there? And so there's 2 rows of that lace and then this edging lace. So there's about 2, 3, 4, 5 tucks there at the top and 2 worked in the middle and then worked down. So they've made this fancy band, they used to call them, to add to the skirt. Gown itself, the outer garment, where I had to repair it was can't find it that way. Yeah, right in here. It ran from like here to here. And so I took this fine heirloom sewing thread. See, it says fine on it. That's what you want. And this is Dual Duty brand. And most of the time you can find it. Sometimes a fabric store, a good quality fabric store will have it. Usually a children's, like someone who sells the lace will have it. The lace, the batiste, they'll have fine heirloom sewing thread. But let's talk about this yoke. So this top part here is actually a casing, because here's the drawstrings, and if you pull gently on it, it will kind of begin to draw up. So that's running through a casing. Then you have 3 rows of this lace insertion that's been sewn on top of this fabric. 3 pin tucks, well, not really pin tucks, they're very narrow tucks there, as well as on each side. These pin tucks, I call pin tucks, or these tucks, I'm going to show you. There's the shoulder. See, they run from front to back. And I think they actually did that after they joined the fabric because they look continuous. The sleeves, this is typical for the error, is the sleeve seam is not really at the exact side seam. It's more forward. That's pretty typical of that error. If you look into, I remember research with past patterns and bought into their children's patterns, you'll find that. I ran into that when I made something for my youngest when she was little. But each sleeve then has the lace And you can tell they took that lace up, folded it over, so it looks like a little band of lace around with this. So they were very creative with that. They actually sewed that. There's this much of the fabric. It's been turned under and the lace attached. So they created like a little cuff. And it does have a little area in here where it's thin. So I'll repair that after I soak it. The skirt doesn't have any lace on it. But this is a 3¼ inch hem that's been put in the skirt. So the lace is on the slip. Not something we typically see in ones that are made like when Martha Pullen was doing her thing with Heirloom sewing. This waist also has another casing that's worked in here. I'm trying to get single layer. There's the casing. Here's that same string. If you pull on it, you start to see it, you know, come. It was knotted pretty bad, and I pulled that out. That knot's not there now, so that's 2 free ends now. This one, I think if you pull on it gently, it probably would gather, but I'll tell them to be very, very careful with that. I'm getting ready to soak this in a product called Vintage Soak. I used it to soak some antique laces I bought one time. They were in horrible shape. They had turned. There were spots on them, and people said, oh, that can't be brought out. And I thought, oh, yes, it can. And I brought all that lace home. I spent maybe $30, and I have 2 drawers that are just full of this vintage antique lace. And I would soak batches of it and then hang it to dry and press it. It would be pristine white like what I'm wearing, just pristine white. All the spots, all that came out, and I use it to, you know, different things. So that's what I'm getting ready to do with this gown now. I'm going to soak it for probably 3 days, see where I'm at, dump the water. If it needs to soak some more, I'll soak it again. And then usually a second soaking will finish taking out any that's left. Then I'll gently wrap it up in a towel and get as much of the water out as possible. This is going to be treated gingerly because there's already evidence that the gown itself, the outer garment, is sustained some damage. Now, my suspicion is it's been zipped up in a plastic bag and it hasn't been allowed to breathe. It hasn't been wrapped in acid-free paper, which is another no-no. So she will receive an acid-free box, an acid-free paper, and hopefully if I can find some inexpensive but good quality pins for the back of that slip, I will give those to her, to the family, as a gift. Just, and I know they're probably going to be like, why are you doing this? But I'm excited just working on it. I'm so honored, and so I want to give something to the family to continue making sure that this gown blesses many more generations. 1850. It blew my mind. It just blew my mind to have something in my hand that some lady sat there and she made that. And now I'm holding it in my hands. Just think how amazing this is. When you take something handmade and you're holding it in your hand, the generations ago made this, and you start to think about, you know, the person who made it, and when they were making it, did they even think that it would still be around at this time and still being used for its purpose? It just blows my mind. So here we are talking about this gown on video. They didn't have TV. So I'm blessed. I really am. So have yourself a great Sunday.